Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Marco, and I'm the CEO and founder of Más Vale Saber, a full-service marketing agency, and Segunda Mano magazine, a Spanish publication here in Phoenix that connects the Latino community with local businesses. I'm going to be your host for today. Joining me as well today is Gabriela.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gabby. I'm a marketing specialist at Más Vale Saber, and I specialize in developing marketing strategies for different businesses, as well as creating engaging content for different social media platforms.
Perfect. So a couple of quick notes here before we get started. Let's go ahead and do a quick audio check for everybody that's tuning in. If you cannot hear me, please comment on the chat. Also, feel free to drop your comments on the chat, and Gavi, our moderator, will go ahead and answer them throughout the presentation. You can also post your questions, so we may answer them at the end during our Q&A. This presentation is also being recorded and is going to be emailed. And last but not least, we put together an in-depth guide on food photography to help you attract customers through beautiful and irresistible pictures of your food. And we're also going to be sharing some pre-made posts that our creative team came up with so you can share on your social media to help drive more customers to your restaurant. So make sure to stick to the end, and we're going to go ahead and give you those links. Perfect. I see here on the chat, everybody can hear us. So now for everyone that's listening in this moment, I want to ask that you really take the time to tune out all distractions and take this time to reflect. And just, I want to say, whether we like it or not, the pause button was just hit. We all have time to clear our heads and think about how our business model needs to change, because the reality is that going back to the way we were doing business before this whole thing happened is probably not sustainable. The world was already changing, but now it's changed dramatically. So our sole purpose during this presentation is to help you find short-term and long-term solutions for your restaurant. For today's agenda, the first part of the presentation, we're going to be covering the benefits of marketing your restaurant online, updates you need to be making to your website, the food delivery services that we recommend, a couple email marketing tips. We'll also touch on influencer marketing strategies. We'll be covering a step-by-step guide to social media advertising, and we're going to wrap things up with photography tips and tricks, at which point we're going to be shifting over to our Q&A. Perfect. So for today's guest, we have Mary Yu. She's currently the general manager for Dino's Greek and Italian Grill. She's been in the restaurant industry for 8 years and has increased her takeout orders to successfully keep her restaurants open 4 hours a day during COVID-19. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
So for everybody that's listening right now, Mary, if you could share a little bit about what you have done to keep orders coming in and keep your restaurant open.
Well, so our restaurant is a sit-down type restaurant for the most part. And so with this whole takeout only situation, it's been a little bit challenging. So quickly, we've had to go from diners eating in to creating, attractive ways for them to get their food to go, curbside delivery.
Okay. And can you talk a little bit more about, so I know that your restaurant already did some takeout and is active on delivery apps, but can you talk a little bit about how you've had to adapt your entire model to now literally everything has to be takeout?
Well, the first thing we had to do is actually, because when this first all happened, we were closed for a week because the owner we didn't know what to do. So when we decided to reopen, we had to set hours. That was the first challenge because the owner couldn't afford for us to be open all day long. We had to let our customers know about our hours, and then we had to adjust our specials every night that would be more attractive to diners. And we had to do that rather quickly, you know. So we used social media, we used our actual website. So that's been our biggest challenge in how we've adapted.
Okay. And can you talk a little bit about, because since we had spoken before this presentation, you also had to prepare your staff in terms of delivering food?
Yeah, so a lot of our staff hasn't come back at this point, but the rest of our staff, since we're offering delivery, we turned our servers, the ones that wanted to, into delivery drivers. And we became pros at packing up to-go orders. So.
Okay. And then last but not least, in regards to the menu, because I'm assuming the menu also had to change. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you came up with to entice your customer base?
Well, so when we first started doing takeout, we were offering and are still offering our full menu. But one of the things we did, we found that people were wanting to order meals for their families. So instead of just, one or two people, it was like 4 people. So we started doing specials every night that are family style. So, like one night we'll have like a pizza and pasta special that will feed 4. Another night,
Sorry about that, Mary. Are you still with us here? Looks like we might have had some connectivity issues. Gabby, can you still hear us? Okay.
Mary.
Okay, yeah, it looks like Mary had some connectivity issues here, so sorry about that. I'm gonna hop on over. Well, hopefully she can get back here shortly. I'm gonna hop on over here and introduce Chris Traphagen. I believe we're still waiting for him. Oh no, looks like he's on here. Chris, can you hear us? Looks like you might have to turn on your microphone. But Chris is the general manager for Tailgaters and El Primo. He has 20 years of restaurant experience and has been able to keep all his 9 restaurants in the state of Arizona open all day. So we're very excited to have him. And hopefully once he gets his audio here, we'll go ahead and ask him some questions. But in the meantime, to keep everything rolling, we're gonna go ahead into the next couple of slides and we'll come back. And then for, again, everybody else that's tuning in, if you could just go ahead and respond on the chat. I want to make sure that you're able to hear us loud and clear. So moving on to the benefits of marketing your restaurant online. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about here is the screen time. The screen time has increased during the coronavirus. If we think about human behavior, everyone is at home and they're browsing right now more than ever. If you don't have a large list of customer contacts to text or email, online, specifically social media, is going to be your best way to stay in touch with customers and is going to be the best way to drive business to your restaurant. Mary, were you able to come back?
I'm
Okay,
here.
perfect, sweet. So you got a little cut off towards the end. I want to come back to the question on how you modified your offerings to, again, attract your customer base. So if you could just kind of recap that for us.
Oh, sure. So when we first started doing takeout only, we were offering our full menu, and we still are offering our full menu. But what we noticed at first is that people were wanting to order for their families, so like 4 or more people. And so we started doing specials at night that would cater to entire families. So for example, we have a pasta and pizza special we offer that will feed 4. We have a Greek feast that will feed 4. So we just started offering specials that were more attractive to larger families.
Perfect. And you mentioned that the trend has been, again, because all the restaurants are kind of shut down and everybody has to order delivery or takeout, that you are seeing more families put thought into ordering rather than individual dishes going into the ordering from the restaurants that are offering like those family meals.
Right.
What do you know, like what percentage of your current customer base is taking advantage of those family packages?
Probably about 20%, I'd say.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna move on over here to the website advice. So one of the first things that we want to cover is 3 updates you need to make on your homepage right now that is going to have a significant positive impact in driving more sales to your restaurant. So when you analyze your homepage, you want to make sure, especially right now, that you answer 3 questions the moment people land on it. Are you open? What's available on your menu? And how do you order? Also very important, don't forget to optimize your mobile page. Over 90% of traffic to your site is going to occur on a mobile device. That's 9 out of 10 people. So make sure your mobile page looks great. One of the biggest mistakes we see are home pages that look great on desktop but are not mobile friendly. When adapting to online, it's important to understand that user experience is the equivalent to customer service. If you went to a restaurant and asked someone for the menu and they didn't know where it was, or they ran out, or there was no staff on site, you'd probably walk out. The same is going to happen if people land on your website and they can't find the information they need, or your website takes too long to load, which, by the way, a 3-second load time is a long time. Now, for those listening that don't have a website, aren't sure how to update their page, or want to redesign or optimize their page to ensure you turn traffic into customers, our marketing agency is offering support. If you're interested in learning more, Gavi's going to be sharing a button on your screen here shortly, and you can request more information. Moving on, it's important to understand that each page on your website needs to guide your visitors to your desired outcome. Did they land on your homepage? And if so, you should be providing an overview of your restaurant and highlight the immediate actions that you want them to take, which should be ordering online. If you're not able to process orders online, you can send them directly to your page on Uber Eats or whichever delivery app you prefer. And if you don't use them, then you can direct them to call for takeout. Now, your homepage is still going to have other buttons, but your primary call to action should stand out above the rest. So let's assume that they now land on your menu page. The next step you want them to take is to place their order. So make sure your menu page includes a call to action for that. Another tip when adding your menu on your website, make sure you aren't just uploading an image of your menu. Ideally, you want your menu to be text-based and have your web designer develop a design around it to bring it together. This is going to improve your ranking on Google because the search engine will understand what you are offering. Keep in mind that Google can't understand what images are about unless you describe them on the back end, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in the future slides. So moving on to the food delivery services, as a general rule of thumb, you're going to want to make sure your restaurant is subscribed to as many platforms as possible. Now, the list that you're seeing on the screen is in no particular order, and the reason we recommend as many apps as possible is because each customer has different preferences. I might use Uber Eats more, but Mary and Gavi might prefer DoorDash. So being on other platforms allows your restaurant to be discovered by people who wouldn't have learned about you otherwise. Now, this is another application that I recently learned about, Slice, and I'm actually gonna have you, Mary, talk a little bit more about it since you're the one that's incorporated into your restaurant. For everybody that's tuning in, can you tell them a little bit about what Slice is and how it's helped your restaurant?
Sure. So Slice is is an app like Uber Eats, DoorDash, but what's different about them is they don't actually offer delivery. They offer customers an online platform that they can order from. So when they first reached out to me, I wasn't really sure about it because I hadn't heard of Slice either. But there was no sign up fee, and they make their money by charging the customer 5%. So the restaurants don't pay anything. So we gave it a shot, and it has by far been our most successful app.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. And this is specific to, so if your restaurant sells pizza, is that, and again, just for everybody that's tuning in, the app is specific to pizzas?
Yeah, so as long as your restaurant sells pizza, and it doesn't have to be a pizzeria, it can be like we're a Greek restaurant that happens to also sell pizza, so it applies to us.
Okay, sweet. And do you know what percentage of sales you're driving through Slice?
I would say probably about right now, about 5%, which is significant, really.
Okay, and you said this is like your top performing delivery service app, right?
Well, yeah, it's not a delivery service. I mean, you can get in-house delivery to take orders for you, but they just are more of an online ordering platform.
Got it. Okay, cool. So again, if anybody tuning in right now, if you are offering pizza as part of your menu, would highly recommend that you check out Slice. So once you've actually made the decision to start with food delivery, you need to notify people that you offer delivery or takeout. And you can do this by starting to post the news on your website, on Instagram, and Facebook. You also want to make sure that you inform people that there is a $0 delivery fee on pickup orders to incentivize them. And again, a lot of these food delivery services are also not going to charge you if they're ordering through their platform for pickup. Also, don't be afraid to ask for donations. The reality is you've been there for your customers and they want to help. So kindly ask them to support your restaurant with donations and let them know that all proceeds go to your restaurant and staff. A lot of the delivery apps also allow you to add promotions, and many of them have programs right now to support your restaurant during this time. As an example, Uber Eats will fund up to $250 of redeemed promotions per store location, and DoorDash is waiving their $150 setup fee. Now, these promotions change all the time, so what I recommend is contacting them directly and asking them how they can help your restaurant. And Mary, I know that when we spoke about 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned that DoorDash was waiving their fee, and that was kind of one of the reasons that your restaurant hadn't taken the plunge on the app. But you went ahead and contacted them, and they did not charge you a setup fee. And what were other incentives that they were offering at the time?
So they waived the setup fee, and then they also gave us commission-free deliveries for 2 months.
Okay. So again, everybody that's tuning in, if you haven't considered these food delivery services, they're doing a lot to help. So highly recommend that you contact them. But at the end of the day, it's important to note that these are all short-term solutions to drive sales, because the reality is 30% fees are a hefty price to pay. So you need to set up processes in place to ensure customers order from you directly in the future. And if you're not doing this yet, include a menu with every delivery for customers to put on their fridge. Make sure people are able to download and print that menu from your website as well. And if you have a weekly menu, include the start and end date so your customers know until when they are able to order from that menu. Also, add your preferred way to receive orders by stating your phone number and or website. If you want to take it a step further, you could also include branded napkins, coasters, or anything that they could potentially put in their kitchen drawer so that they can see your restaurant every time they're taking out their cutlery. As an example, I recently ordered from a local sushi restaurant, and they included flyers on their menu and as well as specials, and it worked. I've already ordered twice from them. Also, as a side note, Uber Eats offers access to affordable Uber-branded eco-friendly, and durable food packaging products to ensure your food arrives as intended. So if budget is an issue for you, you could also consider reaching out to those partners, and I'm sure that they would be more than willing to help. Another shameless plug here, our marketing agency specializes in promotional products. So if you need flyers, menus, business cards, postcards, we can get you quotes. More often than not, we're able to save our clients money. And our marketing and creative team can also help you brainstorm ideas to come up with unique solutions that are attractive and functional. If you want to compare pricing or just want more info, Gabi again is going to be sharing the link here on the screen with you. I know Chris wasn't able to join us on the call, but when we had spoken with him previously, he mentioned that customer service was very important during this time, providing great customer service and training the staff. And one of the things his restaurant did was include instructions on how to prepare their dish or how to reheat. So again, keep in mind that the takeout experience is different than dining in. So you want to make sure that they experience your dish as you intended them to. Mary, are there any, have you had a chance to incorporate this into your restaurant with your takeout orders, including instructions on how to reheat or maybe even put together the dish?
We haven't. Every once in a while, when someone orders something, like I said, they've been ordering family style meals, and so I think in anticipation of leftovers, they'll ask me specifically how to reheat certain items, and I'll tell them. But we haven't done anything like tailgaters as far as including instructions.
Okay, and I know that it's going to vary a lot too on the types of dishes that every restaurant is offering, but as an example of a restaurant that could really use these types of instructions, like the other week I probably ordered from a Vietnamese restaurant, and they provided detailed instructions as to how to reheat my broth and how to incorporate the proteins and the different herbs into the plate itself, so that I could get the best experience from that from my order. So I thought that was pretty neat as well. I do want to make a special note on Yelp. Right now, they understand that the coronavirus has affected the daily life for everyone, and they know that it's been especially hard on restaurants. So what they are doing right now is allowing restaurants to give customers important updates about with a COVID-19 alert displayed at the top of their Yelp business page. So what I want to go over right now are the 3 steps that you can easily take on your Yelp page to give customers the information they need. So number 1, you want to make sure that you use the business highlights to let people know you have delivery or pickup. And there's plenty more on there, but those are probably going to be the most crucial ones. Number 2, you want to add call to actions to guide customer towards the action you want. And number 3, use Yelp Connect to update the community about important news. Perhaps you're going to be reopening this upcoming Monday and you want to inform Yelp users. I highly recommend you use the Yelp Connect feature. And the best part about this was, since we last checked, Yelp is going to continue helping restaurants by providing free access to business highlights, call to actions, and Yelp Connect through May 25th. So if you're on Yelp, definitely take a look at those features. If you're not on Yelp, highly recommend that you be and that you take advantage of those features. Next up, we're going to be talking about some email marketing tips. Now, before you can even consider this solution, you're going to want to gather customers' contact info. And the best way to do this is through your website registration form. Now, keep in mind that you have to provide something of value for people to want to share their contact info. Maybe that means 2 free tacos with a minimum purchase order. Just a note of caution here, be wary of discounts. People get addicted to discounts, but they don't get addicted to free. So we always recommend our restaurants, if you're going to provide some type of order, would much rather it to be free based on a certain minimum purchase order rather than 10, 15, 20% off discounts. Another way to gather contact info is through your point of sales. There's many modern systems that will ask customers if they want their receipt email or texted to them. And guess what? That data will stay with you. So if you don't have a modern POS system, consider getting one now. I wouldn't be surprised if vendors are offering significant discounts to help restaurants right now. So definitely check them out. And then you can also generate customer contact info through marketing products. Here's an example of a business card that we designed for this restaurant, which included an offer to increase the chances of customers coming in a second time. And the way it works is they text the number on the business card, and through automation, they then receive a text with a link to their landing page where they can provide their contact info in exchange for their offer. So as you can see, you can get very creative. And this is just one of the ways that we implemented it on this restaurant. And we also advised the staff that whenever a restaurant came in and ordered, if they didn't redeem the offer, that was an indication that it had not been offered to them. So at the end of their meal, typically a staff would come to their table, thank them for dining in, and provide them their business card with instructions on how to download an offer for their next visit. And so that is a great way to incentivize your customers to come back a second time. And ideally for restaurants, you want to bring them in a total of 3 times, and that is going to ensure that they become your loyal customers. Now, once you do have customers that you can email, you're going to want to include 3 elements in your newsletter. Number 1, you want to have short copy, don't ramble on, go straight to the point. Number 2, you want to make sure it's relevant information. You don't need to be sending funny memes or news updates unless you're tying it to your restaurant. And number 3, make sure you have a clear call to action. You always want to guide the customer to your desired action. In this example, the pizzeria has informed us about an offer, and they're giving us a clear call to action to redeem it. A couple more email tips. Before you hit that send button, you're going to want to consider that Thursday and Fridays works best for capturing customers, since many of them are planning to order on the weekend or go grocery shopping. Getting your email on these days helps them plan accordingly. Having said that, keep in mind that most people are staying at home right now, so it's wise to test other days, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. Now, here's a neat little marketing trick. When you send out your emails, most email softwares will show you who opened your emails. So what you can do is download the list of contacts who did not open your email and send them a follow-up email with a different subject line to see if they bite. What I like about this solution is it doesn't bother customers who opened your first email. So as I had mentioned previously, behavior during COVID-19 is different, and what appears to be happening is people are ordering more as the week progresses, with Friday and Saturday being the peak days. And what we're seeing is that 5 to 7 p.m. seems to be the busiest hour. So again, if you're thinking about promoting your restaurant, you're going to be wanting to look at testing the 5 to 7 p.m. timeframes. And then Friday and Saturday for your promotions. So moving on to influencers, and for those who may not be familiar, influencers are people with loyal followers who trust their endorsement. It's not so much about the quantity of follower, but more so about the engagement and relevancy. An influencer can be anyone with as little as 500 followers who has an actively engaged audience and covers topics related to your industry. These small influencers are known as micro-influencers. So why should you incorporate influencers into your marketing? Well, just like you've grown your restaurant on word of mouth through customer experiences, Influencers can help amplify that word of mouth to their followers and motivate them to visit your restaurant. Right now, most influencers are being extremely generous at helping restaurants, and all it takes is to be polite and clear about what you want them to share. Ask them to share photos, links to your menu or your website. Up-and-coming influencers are going to be willing to endorse your restaurant in exchange for free meals, while others are going to want some monetary value. Having said that, all you need to do to get started is search food influencers with the city you're located in. You can also go on Instagram and search hashtags with the name of your city and the word foodie. So as an example here on the screen, we have hashtag Phoenix Foodie. Once you've identified someone, you can go ahead and direct message them and let them know what you're looking for. And again, every influencer is going to be different, but because they have that loyal following, the likelihood that they're going to influence the decisions of their followers to try your restaurant is very high. So coming in here to the last portion of the presentation, I want to make sure that we give you some tips and advice on Instagram and Facebook. So the first tip is to try to post one time per day at minimum. Now, Mary, I know that you post multiple times a day on your Facebook pages. Can you share a little bit about the types of content that you promote on your pages?
Well, I typically try to post just once, but it kind of depends on the time of the year. When we're nearing a holiday, one of our busier days, I'll really be on promoting that. But typically, I'll post a picture of our special for that evening.
And what about can you talk a little bit more about like how you go about scheduling your type of content that you're gonna push out? So I know like Mother's Day's coming up. You could talk a little bit more about that.
Well, typically when we're open for Mother's Day, I'll start promoting it about 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Since we're only doing takeout on Mother's Day, I started a couple days ago, so a week out, and then throughout the week I'll repost and as a reminder, hey, we're here for Mother's Day.
Okay, sweet. Thanks. So for the second tip, we're going to recommend is to use hashtags when you post and to tag influencers or people who are likely to search. And then for the last one, and perhaps probably the most important one, make sure you take good photos. Your pictures should want to make people try your food. And so here are some Instagram post examples of what you could be sharing. As you can see, don't need to be making it more complicated than it needs to be. Share posts about asking for support or just simply letting your customer base know that they can order online. I know we're going to be opening here up on Monday, or a lot of restaurants are going to be opening up on Monday, so you can also let them know that whether or not you're going to be open, the hours that you're going to have available, and whether or not they'll also be able to order online. Moving on to our Facebook Ad Manager demo, one of the most frequent questions we get is what is the difference between boosting directly on your page and using the Facebook Ads Manager? And in short, boosting from your page was designed to promote your restaurant as quickly as possible, while the Facebook Ads Manager is going to give you more advanced features so you have more control over who is viewing your ads and content. So some of the features you'll be able to access through the Facebook Ads Manager are their full list of objectives ranging from reach and branding to show your ads to the most amount of people, to objectives like traffic, which are designed to find people who are most likely to click on your ads. Perhaps you want to drive them to your website. You will also be able to add call to actions and test headlines to see what works best for your ads. Another popular objective is the lead ads, and this will allow you to grow your email list. So if you're looking to grow your contact customer base, we recommend that you look at the lead ads for that. A word of caution as well, when you're building out your ads, Facebook is going to automatically set your budget to $20 per day. So what we recommend is starting with $10 per day until you figure out what works. Now, one very important step that you need to take before running ads that drive people to your website is to install a Facebook pixel. And all it is a short snippet of code that is going to allow your website Now, once you're on there, that's going to take you to the following screen where you can add a new data source, at which point it's going to ask you to install the snippet of code on your website. For everybody that's tuning in, if you're not comfortable doing this, Gavi once again is going to share the link on the screen where you can request help, and we're going to go ahead and do this for you at no additional cost. Now, for those restaurants that do have a customer contact info, the good news is you're ahead of the game, and what we actually recommend is that you click on audiences under the Ads Manager menu and select create a custom audience. You're going to want to click on the customer list, and this will allow you to upload your contacts. So if you've been gathering names, emails, phone numbers, this is going to be great. And now there's two things that you can do here. If you have a large enough contact list, you can set Facebook to show your ads to those contacts as part of a customer loyalty campaign. The other thing that you can do is create what is known as a lookalike audience from your contact list. And what this means is Facebook will find people with similar interests and attributes to your existing customers and show them your ads. And in our experience, this level of optimization yields some of the best results. So again, if you already have a large contact list, you're going to want to make sure that you upload it and create a lookalike audience. And last but not least, we want to leave you with some photography tips and tricks that are going to make so that you can separate yourself from the competition. So we'll start off with the don'ts. Don't take pictures of food with bites. Don't take pictures at weird angles or bad lighting. And don't take pictures where staff are touching food without gloves. Now moving on to the do's. You want to make sure that you take a bird's eye shot or over the top, and we'll cover that a little bit more in the next slide, as well as in the guide that Gavi put together for food photography. You can also look at other restaurants for inspiration. Maybe you're not sure about what type of pictures you can take, or you want to see the way other pictures are set up. Go on Facebook, preferably Instagram, and look up other restaurants and see what they're coming up with. You can even just search by a hashtag, and you're likely to find a lot of restaurant photography. If you have an iPhone, consider using the portrait mode. And at the end of the day, you want to ask yourself, does this picture make me want to eat it? And if it does, then by all means, go ahead and share it. So here are some examples of over-the-top shots, and I'm actually going to let Gavi here and chime in and talk a little bit more about what she recommends and then what you're going to find in the photography guide, which we'll share on your screen shortly as well, so you can download it. Included in that link is also going to be the social media assets that you can download to help promote your restaurant on social media.
Yeah, of course. Well, we created this ebook to help restaurants improve their food photography and learn simple skills to take the best pictures for their social media platforms. Sometimes restaurant owners tend to think that they need professional photography services to have great pictures for their social media platforms, but in reality, all you need is some practice, consistency, to learn to do it by yourself, even using your smartphone. So in this ebook, you will find useful tips and tricks regarding angles, lighting, how to tell a story through your pictures, and how to use a proper color palette that represents your business and communicates the right messages.
Perfect. Thank you, Gabby. So this now concludes the first part of our presentation, and now we're going to be opening up to Q&A. So Gabby's going to be here kind of selecting a couple questions, and we'll go ahead and put them on your screen and answer them as we go. Okay, so for the first question we have here is, how can I increase engagement with followers on Instagram? So one of the things you probably want to do is use your posts or stories to encourage open dialogue and communication. Instagram stories allow you to ask questions and set up polls, for example. You can also use post captions to ask users what their favorite item is, or ask them to tag a friend in their comments for the chance to win a giveaway. Other examples that I've seen that are pretty good are side-by-side comparisons of dishes and asking people, which do they prefer. So again, you can get pretty creative with this, especially with the polls features. Another question we have here is, what if our customers are older and don't rely on online ordering? So, Mary, I know you mentioned your audience tends to be older. Could you share how you have handled this situation?
Well, we have a lot of customers that call in, that have always called in. It seems like the younger generation doesn't like talking to people as much, so maybe they're the ones that prefer online ordering. But it's simple. For us, the answer is simple. We just, we still take phone calls for orders.
Okay, perfect. For the next one here, we have, how can we inform consumers about precautions we are taking? What I would say is just let your followers know that you're strictly following the local and CDC guidelines and that you're taking all precautions necessary. I don't know that there's much to add there other than letting them know that you're aware and that you're taking the steps necessary. Here we have another one. So what are some low budget marketing ideas that we can implement to promote our restaurants? This is a really good question. I'm actually going to let Gabby go ahead and answer this, since she deals more on the marketing planning and strategy, and she has a lot of great ideas.
Yeah, of course. Well, right now, it is important to monitor expenses. Every dollar spent has to increase the probability of bringing customers to your doors. I think there is a lot of opportunity in getting involved in the community. Perhaps it's donating food to hospitals, first responders, and it doesn't have to be lots of food if budget is low. I think the action behind it is what matters, and I'm sure many people in those fields will appreciate it. What better way to promote your restaurant than to get people to experience your food? And you can also promote food drive donations.
Perfect. Those are some great ideas there. Okay, so I know at the beginning I had talked a little bit about SEO, but I'm going to be covering this more in the next question here. So what are some tips to rank better on Google? Okay, so because everyone is online right now, it's more important than ever for pages on your website to have SEO titles and for your images to have alt text so Google understand what your website is about. Now for your menu images, we recommend your alt image text to have the official menu item name, your restaurant name, and the city where you're located. So as an example, if you are a Mexican restaurant and one of your menu items is asada tacos, you're going to want to make sure that the image you upload on your website has alt text that says asada tacos dash your restaurant name dash Phoenix, Arizona, assuming you're located in Phoenix, Arizona. And this is going to help Google understand what is this image about. So if somebody ever searched asada tacos in Phoenix, your image is going to pop up. And if they click that image, it's going to redirect them to your website. Okay, another question we have here is, where should you advertise your restaurant first? Gabi, do you want to take a shot at this?
Yes, of course. Well, there isn't one solution for everyone. What I recommend is to become familiar with the largest source of your social traffic right now. Is it Facebook, Instagram? Once you know the answer to this, you can double down on spending ad dollars there. You can adjust your daily budget to make sure that it is low enough where you're comfortable with, but high enough to drive impressions and results. Again, I think $10 a day is a good starting point. If you're not actively on social media, I would recommend you start with Facebook or Instagram first. And once you master one platform, move on to the next one.
Perfect. And I just want to add, a lot of times I'll see restaurants, trying to be on all social media platforms at first, but if you don't have the staff or the manpower to really focus your efforts on each one, again, just like Abby said, I think it's very important that you just focus all your efforts on one and that you master it well. Mary, what are some of the social media pages that you're currently on? And do you see if one works better than the other for you?
Well, for us, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Mhm.
Facebook has been most successful.
Okay. And are you actively
Correct.
on Instagram as well, or do you feel like most of your efforts are geared towards Facebook?
No, I'll post whatever I do a posting, I'll put it on both Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, perfect. Here we have another question. So how do you announce the opening or reopening of a restaurant? Again, this is going to be very important as Monday comes around. So you want to make sure that your website is set up and ready with all the information that may be necessary. Start posting on your pages, and so you can gain traction as far in advance as possible, and to start creating buzz and ensuring that you have people ready to come try out your restaurant this Monday. Tell them about your grand opening event or encourage the newsletter sign up to keep them in the loop. Again, we also talked about Yelp. Use Yelp Connect to let the community know whether or not you're going to be reopening on Monday. Perhaps you're going to be having some specials so that people can come in. And again, more than anything, just understand that it's perfectly okay to ask them for their support during these times, and that you're excited to open and provide your offering and your menu items to them. And I think we're going to have a couple more questions here. So suggestions for messaging communications from restaurants that aren't ready or don't have the staff to provide takeout when they're allowed. So let me see here. So the most important thing is you want to be honest with your customers. Keep the communication line open and keep them updated on what's going on with your restaurant. Update all your social media pages, Google, Yelp. Make sure that these pages reflect your hours of operations, and use the downtime to brainstorm new menu items, promotions, or strategies for when you're going to reopen. And just because you're not open, don't stop posting on social media. Share pictures of your food, the kitchen, even your restaurant and your staff, and use it to showcase the valuable team that works behind the restaurant. I think it's very important to also humanize your brand and let them know that at the end of the day, there's people behind the restaurant working to bring in these this food. Okay, so I think that covers all our questions. If anybody else has any more questions, go ahead and shoot them through the chat. Okay, looks like this is going to be it. So this now brings us to the end of the presentation. I hope we were able to provide as much value as possible. If you found this helpful, please give us a like and leave a review on our Facebook page. Other than that, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Mary, for your time. It was great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, take care, everyone.